Prime Minister has told the BBC he won't bargain away a referendum.
I am in favour of having a referendum.
And I'm saying the right thing to do is for Britain to have a new chance, to have a decisive say about our future in Europe.
It has never been the case that a €2 billion bill has been presented in this way. And if people think I'm paying that on the 1st of December, no, that is not happening.
The United Kingdom was once famous for its global status as a world power. Now, not so much. In 1973, the UK joined what's known as the European Economic Community, more popularly known today as the European Union. And as a member state, the UK must follow laws and regulations set up by European Parliament. The government seemed to be putting a large focus on what benefits the elder generation and not the younger. I will be embarking on a task to get the opinions of a younger generation and see if the European Union is as important to them as it is to everyone else.
I think the UK should leave the EU as there are many financial burdens, if you would like, such as Greece and their massive amount of debt that they're in with other countries, and unfortunately the UK are obligated to provide them financial aid, even though we're in our own crisis at the moment.
Experts say that the biggest advantage of the EU is free trade between member nations, and if the UK were to leave, a lot of money would be lost through trade. However, Nigel Farage believes that we can be similar to Norway, who has access to free trade but is not bound by certain EU laws. The Economist says Britain will be subject to European politics and economics, but will no longer have much power in influencing matters. Being one with the EU allows UK businesses to employ workers from other EU countries. However, UKIP says this prevents the UK from managing its own borders. But writing for the LSE, Professor Adrian Vavel says limiting this freedom would deter the brightest and best.
We import huge amounts from Europe, and I can't see that Europe would want to stop selling to us, selling cheeses, whatever. We, as the UK, we buy in a heck of a lot.
The question that I want to ask, that we're all going to ask is, who are you? I'd never heard of you. Nobody in Europe had ever heard of you. I would like to ask you, President, who voted for you? And what mechanism? Oh, I know democracy's not popular with you lot.
Can you name the EU president?
Their president.
You said Europe isn't working, so we must have more Europe. More of the same failing. Well, there is, I think, a bright star on the horizon. It's called the British referendum.
A referendum, which is a vote requiring a yes or no response, will take place. And this is the same method used to determine Scotland's fate in the UK in 2014.
I've heard arguments on both sides. I'm not sure whether the arguments are merely politically driven. The one argument that interests me is whether or not our trade links will suffer, whether or not Europe will turn their backs on us.
There have been talks of people as young as 16 being able to vote, which is a very similar situation to the recent Scottish independence referendum in 2014. If this is going to be the case, it is important for younger people to know what they're voting for.
I believe the younger generation do not have as big a say as they would want to. A lot of people's voices get misheard. They do not get the opinion across. The whole idea of a democracy is somewhat shaded in a grey area, if you like, at the moment. And it's sort of, at the moment, a democracy for the old men, for the old women.
The subject of UK EU membership has been brought up by various Eurosceptics, but now it's centre stage, and Britons will soon be given a binary choice, in or out.
We are approaching one of the biggest decisions this country will face in our lifetimes, whether to remain in a reformed European Union or to leave.
We're in this situation and we're not going to move forward unless there are reforms made. I think people do feel frustrated in the UK about, certain regulations that come from Brussels, directed by Europe. And I think that, yes, I think we do need to reform things if we are to stay in.